Hi.
And hi, Melanie. I'm glad you could come. And there's Lori.
Another daughter duo today now, Miss Lori.
Oh, lovely. There she is.
Minute.
I saw Laurie yesterday on CareSource and on WHIO.
Oh, good. Hey, as long as I'm on somebody's television, I'm keeping the mice out of their house, so it's okay.
There you go.
Listen to you. You look fabulous today, my lady. All right, I got 11:35, Miss Christie. We'll go ahead and start. Welcome everyone to our March Women in Business online gathering for 2021. We appreciate you tuning in as we continue our virtual format. It is our goal to continue to support and strengthen each other through encouragement, motivation, and networking while still being physically distant. Just a reminder, we are recording this presentation and we respectfully request that you please mute yourself if you're not talking so we don't receive any feedback on the recording. I'll first start off our meeting with a bit of history. As many of you will probably already know, March is Women's History Month. It had its origins as a national celebration in 1981 when Congress first authorized and requested the president to proclaim this week beginning March 7th, 1982 as Women's History Week. And then throughout the next 5 years, Congress continued to pass joint resolutions designating a week in March as Women's History Week. In 1987, after being petitioned by the National Women's History Project, Congress finally designated the month of March 1987 as Women's History Month. And between 1988 and 1994, Congress passed additional resolutions requesting and authorizing the president to proclaim March of each year as Women's History Month. Now, since 1995, presidents have issued a series of annual proclamations designating the month of March as Women's History Month. And these proclamations celebrate the contributions women have made to the United States and recognize the specific achievements women have made over the course of American history in a variety of fields. Since many of the women's suffrage centennial celebrations that were originally scheduled for 2020 were curtailed, the National Women's History Alliance extended the annual theme for 2021 to be Valiant Women of the Vote, Refusing to be Silenced. So just a little knowledge in case you didn't know. Next, I'd like to share with you some U.S. women's history for the month of March. So on March 12, 1912, Juliette Gordon Low assembled 18 girls together in Savannah, Georgia for the first ever Girl Scout meeting. And because of this, National Girl Scout Day is celebrated annually on March the 12th. In March 20th, 1852, Harriet Beecher Stowe's novel, Uncle Tom's Cabin, was published and became the best-selling book of the 19th century. In March 31st of 1888, the National Council of Women of the U.S. was organized by Susan B. Anthony, Clara Barton, Julia Ward Ho, and Sojourner Truth, among others, and it is the oldest non-sectarian women's organization in the U.S. Today, the council works to address the diverse concerns of women in pursuit of social, economic, and political equality while serving as a united voice and forum to promote progressive ideas and influence policies decisions that impact human rights. They represent all races, creeds, and traditions. Now on to something a little bit more fun. Today on the National Day calendar, on March the 18th, we recognize National Awkward Moments Day. I'll tell you mine is my hair because I'm growing out these stupid bangs. So this is an annual day that every person can relate to. We have all had our awkward moments from time to time. They are part of life and they just happen. So how do you observe #AwkwardMomentsDay? Well, find the ability to laugh at yourself, see the humor in awkward moments and have fun with them. Relive old awkward moments by telling stories about them. Laugh over them, enjoy the memory. The humor in these moments really just show how human we all are. No one is perfect. And it's important to keep in mind that on this day and take a little humility with us as we celebrate. So I encourage each and every one of you to use the hashtag and post on social media one of your awkward moments. Lastly, I want to say thank you, a really big thank you to Christy Cox, who has been graciously hosting these virtual formats for us with the Greene County Libraries. And in appreciation, I always give Christy some time to speak to you all. So Christy, I pass the mic on to you.
Thank you. And I have something really new that's happening at the library, like today years old new. So if you have questions about it and I don't have answers, I apologize in advance. You can now, the libraries, all libraries in Ohio have partnered with the Ohio Department of Health, and you can get a rapid COVID test at the library. Librarians are not giving you a COVID test. You may not come in to pick up your COVID test. You go in the parking lot, you call us and say, hey, I'm here to pick up a COVID test, and we will bring it to your car because we don't want you germs, please and thank you. But you do have to download an app to use the COVID test, and there's directions on our website that go into specifics on how it works. And we don't ask for any of your details, so it's that your privacy shouldn't be a concern or anything like that. So if you need a rapid COVID test, you can get one at the library. And that's all I know.
That's some great news though. So thank you. Now let's hear from our other host, Donna Saraga from the Xenia Chamber.
Hello, everybody. We keep getting more and more faces and new faces. So those of you that are returning, I encourage you to reach out to somebody and say, hey, join me next month. This is a great organization. And on that note, and I know Shannon, you're probably going to mention it, but she's doing some reach out to see where we might go and who might be able to provide food and that kind of thing in anticipation of soon meeting together face to face again. On that note, we're also starting to talk within the chamber about business after hours. Nothing is set yet. Not going to do April. I do know that. And we do have an organization lined up for June. So I don't know whether we'll have anything in May or not. But following that, if your group, business, organization is interested in hosting a business, can reach out to you offline and see, you know, what months might be open. But we're trying to start one thing after another to get things back on track as far as doing some things face to face again. So on that note, we still have lots of masks here at the chamber. So you, your organization, your clients, or if you're like me, I keep a bag of them in my car, and every time I do carry out, whoever the person is that brings my food to the car, I give them a packet of 10 and say, these are for you, your employees, your customers, whatever you need them for. So I'm trying to get rid of them that way. But if you'd like to do something like that. Also, I know Mary asked for some because her client, times when her staff are going into people's homes, they don't have a mask or they don't have them accessible. So her staff have always got them with them now. So if you need masks, please let me know. I'll be glad to bring them to you. On that note, I don't think I have anything else unless anybody has any questions for me regarding the chamber. Thanks.
Any takers on questions for the chamber? Or questions for Ms. Christie for the library? Well, on that note, thank you, ladies. Please do contact Donna at xacc.com to add friends and coworkers to our Women in Business mailing list, so they too can receive information about upcoming speakers and events, as well as after the meeting, Donna sends out announcements and flyers and is a follow-up from our meeting. So please send to Donna anything that if you want the other members to see, and she'll be sure to mail them out to the chamber, out on the chamber list as followed up. So if you're not on the list, you don't get the announcement. So you got to get on the list. Now, I would like to introduce our speaker, Miss Lisa Jordan. She is a lifelong resident of Ohio and the founder of Providing for Women. I thought that was kind of fitting since this is Women's History Month. So please join me in welcoming Ms. Lisa Jordan for Women in Business.
Thank you, Shannon, for inviting me, and thank you, ladies, for having me here today. And it is very fitting that it's Women in History Month, and even today being Awkward Moment Day. When I talk to you a little bit about providing for women and what we do, you'll understand that many of us have probably experienced an awkward moment in relation to what I'll talk about. But real quick, I just want to tell you a little bit about who I am. I'm just going to give you some highlights. My children and my family always say I should write a book. As Gail talked about last month, I might have to get with you, Gail, on where do I start? But real quick, if you read my bio, I'm married to my wonderful husband, Rob, of 13 years. Together, we have 7 children, 5 grandchildren, and 1 on the way. We have a Xenia address, but we live in Caesars Creek Township, and Xenia was our home for quite a while before we moved. I grew up in Spring Valley Township, actually on a farm, where I learned at a very young age what hard work was. I didn't realize we were poor until I got to junior high and found out that maybe I didn't have the nicest of clothes or the best of shoes, but we always had what we needed. My father worked construction. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, and we lived off of what we grew on that farm from the garden, as well as animals that we raised. So I know all about processing chickens and rabbits and making sausage and milk, turning milk into butter. But so that was how I grew up. I'm just going to touch on some highlights, because if I had to tell you everything, we'd be here for a while. I want to preface that with saying, if it wasn't for my faith and a lot of miraculous things and some wonderful mentors and people in my life, I probably wouldn't be here right now doing this. If you asked me when I was 10 years old if I thought that I'd be doing what I'm doing now, I would have said no. If you'd asked me that at 16, I would have told you I didn't know where my life was headed. I am a teenage mom. Our children that we have together range from ages of starting at 14 going to 39. So I had my oldest child when I was a junior in high school. I started my senior year of high school with a 4-month-old child. So life was a challenge at that moment. I had to figure out what I was going to do with my life. And I had decided to go to the Greene County Career Center before I found out I was pregnant. And I took a course in word processing and administrative support. And I'm so thankful I did. I was a very quiet, shy farm girl, very naive, lacked a lot of confidence. I was the oldest child with 3 younger brothers, so I did a lot of caretaking. So becoming a mother at a young age, I already knew how to take care of children, but it was still a challenge. But at that career center, that's where I found what I wanted my career to be. That's where I had 2 amazing teachers that were wonderful mentors to me. My junior teacher, Mrs. Picorni, and my senior teacher, Mrs. Wanda Brown, who was a resident of Xenia and a wonderful woman. They pulled me out of my shell. They pushed me to do things that I didn't think I could do, like compete in a regional competition and a filing competition, which I placed 3rd in the state. And I was just shocked because I just lacked that confidence to think I could accomplish anything at that time. So thanks to them, I went on and I graduated high school. When I did, my son was 18 months old. I did not immediately go to college. I did have several jobs. I babysat and I worked at a gas station. Fast forward to the age of 20. Now, I did not marry my oldest child's father, which was probably a good thing in hindsight. But I married at 20, had my 2nd child, and did not have to work at that time. My husband worked at Super Value, and I got to be a stay-at-home mom. Unfortunately, we divorced about 3 years after being married, and I married again a year later and had my 3rd child. So now I'm 24 years old with 3 children. I had been working after my divorce at 2 jobs. I worked at a gas station and housekeeping in a nursing home, and took care of providing for my kids. And when I remarried, I got a job as a secretary at Beanbag City and Sailor's Tailor. And some of you might have heard of that business, but it's in the old Spring Valley School. If you need a good beanbag chair, that's the place to go. If you know somebody needing a sailboat cover, that's the place to go. I worked there about 4 years. Loved that job, and was able to grow from that to a position at Wright Pat Air Force Base with a government contractor. So that was in 1996 or 94, and I was 29 years old. And at this point, I now had 3 children, and was pursuing my career now as a secretary with a support contractor. My marriage, on the other hand, my second marriage was not the prettiest of things. I suffered domestic violence in that relationship of 13 years, a lot of emotional and mental abuse. Work was my escape. Doing things with my children was my escape. I was very involved in all of their sports. I was a football mom, a cheerleading advisor, a soccer mom, softball, whatever it was. I was very involved with all three of my children. And during this time, I had my fourth child in 1997. So I just poured myself into my work and into my kids to avoid a lot of the things that I had to deal with at home. We were married almost 13 years. I decided in 1996, before my fourth child, to go to college. I wanted to go back to school at the encouragement of some coworkers and friends who said, you know, that's going to help you with your career. You'll be able to advance farther if you get your degree. So I had decided in 1996 to pursue my degree in business management and logistics. And then I found out I was pregnant. And when I had my fourth child, I thought, how am I going to take care of 4 kids, work full time and go to school? So I put school on the back burner again and proceeded just to continue to do those family things. Fast forward to 2001, my husband decided he was going to leave me for another woman, and my life felt shattered. And I had 4 kids at home trying to figure out, now what do I do? I continued to work. I continued to push forward. Wanted to get a dissolution, but he balked at that. And it was just that, again, that abusive relationship where he had control over me. At that time, I didn't realize that I could have controlled the situation. But when you live in that, and if you've ever lived in a situation like that, you lack confidence and you believe the things that you're told on a daily basis, and it just kind of beats you down. So unfortunately, my mother got ill that year and passed away from a stroke. And I found myself in a very vulnerable time in my life. I was down and out, depressed, and my husband convinced me to let him back into my life. And I did. And the next 2 years were not great. And on June 7th of 2003, he suffered a lot of depression. He had diabetes. He, at this time, I could look back and say he probably he was bipolar, because when it was good, and when it was bad, it was bad. And in 2003, he took his life with me there and our 2 children in the home across the hall. So it was a very traumatic, trying time. Received a lot of counseling. I had great family support and friends and coworkers at the base, as we called them, wingmen, who helped me through that tough time. I tell you about that just because I'm a very faithful person. I have a lot of faith, and I look back over my life and I think, how in the world did I get through some of the things that I did? And all I can say, it was by the grace of God and me being able to lean on him during those tough times. I would not be where I am today, I truly believe, if it wasn't for my faith. The day that my husband died, I didn't know if he was going to take me with him and our children. So I'm very thankful to be here today. I'm very thankful to be able to tell my story. There's a lot more to it, so I'm just touching on the highlights of it. But so that happened in 2003, and I was forced to start all over again. I never stayed in that house again. I just let everything go, and I started over with my kids. There were just some miraculous things that happened and fell into place that allowed me to do that. So in 2005, after buying another house, starting over with my kids, life is going great. It was 2000. I met my husband in 2005, and that's another story. I've known him most of his life, but we ended up together in 2005 dating. And then in 2006, my youngest daughter, who was 6 when her father died, is now age 9, and I'm told she has a tumor on her spine the size of a baseball, and it's cancer. So that rocked my world. That was like somebody pulling the rug out from under my feet again. I thought, I just got on my feet. Life is going good. Things are great. I'm finally happy. And now this. There was a lot of prayers being said by a lot of people, and I mean all over the world. about this situation, and I literally was on my knees asking God, please do not take my child from me. I cannot live through this. And graciously, even though they kept telling me that it was cancer, and I never uttered those words to her, I just told her it was a tumor and we were going to go in and take it out and everything was going to be fine. Because how do you explain to a 9-year-old that, you know, she has ganglioneuroblastoma, which had a successful cure rate of like not even 10%. So we never told her that. We never told her she had cancer. And when they did the surgery, and they had to do major surgery, rib spreader and all, to remove this baseball-sized tumor from her spine, they told me when they removed it that they didn't believe it was malignant, but they were sending it off for biopsy. And when the biopsy came back, they said, it is benign. And the weird thing about it was that at some point in time, that tumor had been malignant and had become benign. And I truly, honestly believe that that was just answered prayers. And she is 24 years old today. And I say she's my miracle. And she has, because of that, they had left a piece of the tumor on her spine. So she does suffer from fibromyalgia, but she doesn't let her get her down. She's one of the most caring, kind, giving people you would ever meet. Maybe many of you have met her if you've ever been into the Xenia Smoke Shop. That's where she works, and her customers just love her. And I always tell her that I think God put her there to be a light for some of those folks that walk into that place. And she tells me story after story about that. So fast forward, my 2000, so she, you know, she did great, healed up fine, continued school, and life was going good. I was dating my husband. He proposed to me in December of 2006. And in March of 2007, I got a phone call from my brother one day who asked me if he and his little girl could come stay with me for a little while. And I thought, well, what's up? Now, he and his girlfriend were not together. She was abusing drugs. She became pregnant. And I thought I would never see this child. And all of a sudden I get this call, and I tell my brother, well, what are you talking about? And he said, I'll call you back in a few minutes. Well, a few minutes later, the call was from Children's Services. And they said to me, we understand you would be willing to take your niece in for 30 days on an emergency plan. I'm like, okay, you know. So that was a little bit of a shock, but I couldn't say no. And I said, absolutely. And then about 15 minutes after that, she arrived on our doorstep. Literally, they walked in, told me what was going on. Mom had an addiction problem. Layla was born with drugs in her system, and someone needed to care for her until mom could get things together. She was 3 days old and going through withdrawal. It was a very challenging time. I had to pick up the phone and call my boss and say, hey, I need to be off work for 6 weeks. I've just got a baby. And so 3 years later, we adopted her. And so biologically, she's my niece, but by love and law, she's my daughter. And then my husband and I, we got married in 2008 and blended our families, which was a challenge. I had 4 children, he had twin sons, and then we adopted. And I just have to say that I love big families, and I am so thankful for all of them. So life has been good, even with all the trials that I've been through. I've been very blessed. I did go back to college, and I finished my associate's degree in 2012. And then I decided to go on. I said, I might as well just get my bachelor's. And I had a goal. I had started in 1996 going to school when my daughter, before she was born, and I was pregnant with her. And my goal was to graduate the same year that she was going to graduate high school. And I did it. I was 50 years old, and I achieved my bachelor's degree. And it was just a wonderful moment for me to realize that the goals that I'd laid out in my life, even though some of them may have taken me a while to reach, I got there. There are people that would tell you if they looked back on my life, they'd never thought I would have done it or could have done it. I even remember hearing after my first divorce, someone had said, you know, that Lisa's never going to amount to anything. She's always just going to have, you know, all these problems. Look, she's got, you know, been married divorced and that, now she's getting married again, 3 kids. I had all these negative things that someone was saying about me, but that just empowered me and that just pushed me to say, watch, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do this. So even though I've had my struggles and my trials, I've had a lot of triumphs and I'm very blessed. So that leads me to telling you about how in the world someone like me, married 3 times, divorced, widowed, 7 children, not getting a degree till late in life, start a nonprofit. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about our nonprofit. And I've got some slides and I'll pull them up here in just a minute. But just to tell you how it started, Providing for Women started because my daughter, who's 24, at the time was 21 and shared a video on Facebook. Now, let me preface that with saying my husband has his own business. And not only do I work full time and have children at home, I help him in the evenings with his business, Jordan Concrete Services. So I was downstairs working on the books and needed a break. And I was just scrolling through Facebook, as we all do, just to occupy time, right? And she had posted a video about what do women do when they're on, what do homeless women do when they're on their period? It was a documentary. It followed this young woman through the streets of New York. She was probably in her early 20s. And it discussed how they deal with their periods, something I had never thought about. Just totally, I watched that and I thought, oh my goodness, I've donated clothing, I've donated food, I've donated, shampoos and things to shelters, pantries, whatever, but I never thought about this need. And here I am, a woman who has periods. Well, at that time I didn't, but anyway, I watched that video and I immediately thought, I need to do something. I'm going to donate stuff. And having girls in the house, I had a couple extra boxes of tampons in the hall closet. And I thought, I'm just going to take those and donate them to, the shelter or something. And it was actually as if the Lord spoke to me and said, I think you can do more. And I was like, okay, I will get all my friends and family, my girlfriends and stuff and family, and we'll just collect up a bunch of product and then we'll donate it. And then it was just kind of like, no, I think you need to do more than that. And so I met with my daughters. I talked to them about it, told them that I felt like we needed to address this need in Xenia and how could we help women get period products. And they were all on board. And I have 3 girls, so 4 boys, 3 girls. And they were all on board with that. And then I went to the women's ministry at the church I attend and I presented it to them. I showed them the video and I said, I feel unqualified. I don't know who I am to be able to do this, but I want to address this need. And I want to know if you would support me in this and having a product drive so that we could help women in Xenia. So it started in August when I watched the video. And by November 11th, I had founded Providing for Women. And in December of that year, we helped our first 100 women. We handed out 100 packages of product through the church that I attend. When we were giving away food baskets for Christmas, I had a little table set up to the side. And as the women would come around after they shopped for the families would come around after they shopped for their needs for the Christmas dinner, they would stop at my table and I would ask, do you have a need for feminine hygiene products in your home? Do you need pads or tampons? And every woman said yes, except for those that were too old to experience periods. But what they asked for was, do you have any bladder pads? Which I didn't. But that led me to find that there was a need for that in our community. So anyway, there were tears. There were people that hugged me. There were ladies who said, can I have 2 packages? I have a daughter at home and, we both have periods. And so graciously I gave, whatever they needed. And that started me on the journey of how do we address period poverty. So I'm going to share my screen real quick because I put some charts together just so I could stay on target, ladies, because I tend to talk way too much sometimes. And I just want to keep on track. Let me get my mouse to work. All right. Can everybody see that? All right. So we are called Providing for Women. It took me a while to come up with that name, actually, a couple of months, because I'm like, what do we call this? I have no clue. And I did a lot of research, and there are other organizations out there across the US who deal with this. Some are called Helping Women, period. And I'm like, okay, what do I call this? And I was sitting down thinking about it one day and I thought, you know what are we doing? What are we doing? We're providing for women. And I thought, well, duh, there's the name. So what we do is we are working to help in period poverty. So we are a 501c3 here in Xenia. Our mission, of course, is to address period poverty and to distribute menstrual hygiene products to those in need. And as I said, we started in 2017. Now, what is period poverty? People, maybe you've never heard of period poverty, but the American Medical Women's Association, as you can read there, defines period poverty as not having access to menstrual hygiene tools and education, including sanitary products or facilities to care for themselves or to dispose of these items. Always, the maker of sanitary products defines it as the prevalent phenomenon of being unable to afford products such as pads, tampons, liners, so on and so forth. And it's hard to believe that there are people in our community who cannot afford those. So who does it affect? In the United States, 1 in 4 women cannot afford pads or tampons. And in the United States, 1 in 5 girls miss school due to the lack of menstrual products. So you think about that number and you think about Xenia High School. 1 in 5 of those girls that attend that school do not have access to period products. A recent report that was done by Plan International that was actually just released the other day talks about it, and you can look at the bullet points here, but especially during COVID-19, the access to period products was really impactful. 1 in 5 women were not able to get period products, and they're talking a lot here about the young women. So nearly 1 in 4 young women were worried about their ability to afford or to get access to pads. And when you're in school and you're a young lady, and we'll talk about awkward moments, how many of us were ever in school, started our period, didn't have what we needed, and had to ask the teacher, can we go to the clinic, and hoping that nothing was showing, we didn't have an accident that was visible, had to wrap our sweater or sweatshirt around us to get to the clinic and ask for something. So when you're a student who doesn't have and can't afford it, it affects their confidence. You feel ashamed and embarrassed. The study shows that 17% of these young ladies can't participate in sports, extracurricular activities. They avoid spending time with friends. And it's just really impactful to them. And then in the survey, it says half of the US believes that the government needs to provide period products for free to those who need them. In Greene County, just looking at the census data, 1 in 5 women between the ages of 18 and 34 here in Greene County cannot afford pads or tampons. They're often forced to choose between buying food or buying tampons. And if you're a mom, you're going to buy food for your children before you're going to buy tampons for yourself. It's just what we do. We make those sacrifices daily. There's things we all have given up as mothers just so our children could have the things that they needed, and oftentimes the things that we want them to have. But just imagine being a woman who's affected by homelessness, unemployment, domestic violence situation. She's been forced out of her home. Maybe she's living in a shelter and she can't afford these items and has to make those tough choices. What many people don't realize is you cannot buy taxable items with food stamps or SNAP benefits. So they're not even able to use those if they get assistance, they can't use them to purchase those items. So what does Providing for Women do? So what we do is we collect funds and or products, and that's period products and incontinence products, and we distribute those items to charities in our organization and schools. In 2018, we distributed over 300 period kits to the Xenia community schools for the clinics to be able to give out to students. And we said any student. Now, the clinics have a budget and it's limited. So when I called the head nurse and I said, hey, do you provide period products to your students? She said, when we have them, we count on parents to donate them, or we, the nurses, will clip coupons and go buy them ourselves when we've run out of funds to purchase them. So I said, well, we would like to provide you with these period kits. So we put together 300 period kits. And since we did that in 2018, we have kept them stocked with period products. So they know that any student that comes to the clinic can have access to those items. We put the period kits in discreet little like pencil pouches. So when they walk back down the hall or to the classroom, nobody knows what they have. It helps eliminate embarrassment. It boosts their confidence, and they even know, the nurses even know that if a student comes back continually every month, she may have an issue at home where she doesn't have them. So they'll give them a whole package of product. And we did that in 2019. We supplied Fairborn City Schools with over 600 period kits, and we keep them stocked with product. We've also, the Xenia Area Fish Food Pantry here where I'm in Gail's office, and thank you, Gail, for letting me use your office. Where I live, Wi-Fi is satellite Wi-Fi and it doesn't function very well, so Gail's letting me use her office. But we try to keep the pantry stocked. We keep the Fairborn Fish Pantry and the Bellbrook Sugar Creek Family Resource Center stocked as we have the product. And I'll talk a little more about that. We also have distributed through mobile food banks, like Bog Ministries comes to Xenia the first Thursday of the month. And when we have the product, we go there and we hand out. And there's usually 100 families once a month that come through there. And Gail can speak to the fish pantry, but I think that she takes care of about 200 women a month. And the Fairborn Pantry I know is 100 women a month. And the Bellbrook Resource Family Center is 80 women a month. So we also have been at the Central State University mobile farm market they have there and handed out product several times. Other charities that we've been able to help since we started have been the Domestic Violence Center, Bridges of Hope, To Coach, Her Story, Sober Lotus, which are both rehab centers for women who are coming out of addiction. IHN, the Donnellan Shelter, we supplied them with over a year's worth of supplies to help the women who come there. Wright State University reached out to us last year, and we stocked up their personal hygiene pantry. So we do our best to help anybody that asks. I've even made personal deliveries, met ladies in parking lots who have contacted us through our Facebook page and said, hey, I don't have any money to buy anything and I need something. And I've met these ladies personally in parking lots and delivered to them. So what we've done. So since 2017, when we began, and I'm going to preface this with, we do this all on donation of funds and or products. We collect those items and then we distribute them out. And I've just put the note here. We've helped, estimated we have helped over probably about 10,000 women and students in 5 years. That sounds like a lot, but it's not, because periods happen monthly. They just don't happen one time and go away. So we are unable to keep up with the demand right now. And we're working to find better ways to get funding to do that. But we have handed out over 500,000 individual pieces of product. And that's how we keep count of it by piece, because everything comes in different sizes. Sometimes we get donated a box of tampons, there's 18 in it, sometimes 36. So we just keep track of the individual pieces. Our vision is to provide these products to women on a consistent basis. We would like to be able to supply the food pantry every month when Gail says, hey, we're helping 200 women a month and I need to be able to have enough product to do that. So that's our desire, is to be able to do this on a consistent basis. And unfortunately, due to lack of funds or product, we're not always able to meet the needs. So I often have to prioritize. Our hope and desire, of course, is to educate, like I'm doing you ladies today, about what period poverty is, to educate our community and to talk about this unspoken need and to try to get rid of the stigma that comes along with talking about periods. They're a natural occurrence. They happen to over half the people in the world. And to know that there are women out there who can't afford to purchase those items and are using other means, toilet paper, napkins, paper towels, socks, t-shirts, whatever, to deal with that is just alarming to me, that we live in a country where women cannot afford those items. So how can you help? Talk about periods. Talk about periods with you know, whoever. We need to start saying, you know, periods are a natural occurrence and we shouldn't be so embarrassed about talking about them. I know many of us were raised at a time where you didn't tell anybody when you were on your period. It was nobody's business. It was an embarrassing thing and you didn't want anybody to know about it. The only time you talked about periods was with your girlfriends in the bathroom. If, you know, hey, do you got a tampon because I started, or, you know, you're having really bad cramps and you confided in a friend or you talked to your mom. The other way you can help is to donate products or funds to help us continue our mission, and of course, to volunteer. What I'm going to tell you this morning, a lady who's been helping us and supplying with us sent me a message this morning, and because I had posted and said, hey, everybody pray for me. I'm speaking today at Women in Business and I'm nervous. And she sent me a private message and she said, hey, I just want to share this with you. My son came home yesterday and told me that his girlfriend's best friend got into a fight with her mom and her mom kicked her out of the house. And she's now staying with the friend, but she's on her period and she didn't have anything. Well, her son knows that she helps supply us with product. He's 16 years old and he went to his mother and he said, hey, Mom, can we give this girl some of those tampons and pads that you're collecting? Because she needs them. And she put together a period kit and sent it to school this morning with her 16-year-old son to hand out. And I told her, and it made me cry. I'm not going to lie. I got teared up because I thought, you know, that's why I do this. That's why we do this. That's why I'm trying to educate people, because there are young women out there right now today at school not having what they need. There is a mom somewhere today shopping in a grocery store at Aldi's or wherever, trying to figure out her budget to see if she can afford that $6 or $7 pack of pads or tampons. So that's why we do it. That's what we do. And I hope I haven't bored you too much, and I hope I haven't overloaded you with information, but I'm here if you have questions. If anybody has any question about what we do or how we do it. Barbara?
Okay, I just wanted to add a little bit to that. I don't know whether this will be helpful to anybody or not, but I was wondering if you've ever heard of the Days for Girls International Project.
Yes,
Supplying reusable menstrual cycle kits to young women in third world countries.
Yes, I
There's
have.
a very active group in Yellow Springs headed up by a woman named Chris Powell. And I am not really directly associated with them anymore, but I think they were kind of branching out into reusable, non-reusable, you know, disposable products. And I know in our country, using, you know, something that you have to use over and over again and wash personally and whatever is kind of not common.
Right.
Because we've gotten so accustomed to disposables. But actually, you may explore teaming up with the Days for Girls Project in Yellow Springs to see if nothing else, some of these girls could have a backup of a reusable kit.
Right.
Even though they may come to you from time to time for disposables. So if they're really in a jam, they would have that fabric kit with the liners and pads, and they could wash them out themselves and always have something available.
True, true. And we've been asked about that, if we've thought about giving out reusable. And I have no issue with giving out reusable items, but for those that are in a homeless situation or where they don't have facilities that they can consistently wash those things out and keep them clean, that could be an issue. But absolutely, I think it's something we could address for, you know, students, putting in some sort of reusable item that they could have, like you said, on hand. And I will definitely get in touch. You said Chris Powell.
Yes, Days
All
for
right.
Girls. There's a Facebook site.
Okay, I will find her.
Yellow Springs, you know, it's the Yellow Springs chapter.
Yeah.
There's many chapters all over, but that's the one that I was working with. And I particularly work with Chris Powell, and she's great to work with.
Wonderful. I'll contact. Yes, yes,
Lisa,
Elaine.
I'm sending you right now the information because I have her card on my desk, and I've heard her speak a couple times before. We're asking her to speak to this group, but it's just
Wonderful.
been hard with COVID and just blame
Right.
everything on COVID, but
No.
it's been difficult. So I will send you everything that I have on this business card.
Good, good. Thank you.
Okay? And I'm going to do that right now. So.
Networking is a great thing. And that's why I was glad to have this opportunity, because I haven't had many opportunities to speak. I did speak at the Rotary Club, but most of them were men, and it's just not a topic they're familiar with. So this is great that I could be able to network and find out about other organizations. Gail?
I just want to add that Lisa has helped the pantry enormously. And we, even though she provides us all the time, we try our own to get backups. I mean, we reach out and we just touch base with St. Vincent de Paul, and they had an overabundance and they brought it in and we shared with Lisa, and like she shares with us all the time. But that's the way that we find stuff, is just by reaching out. And I put a thing on Facebook asking, because Lisa was away, she had a death in the family and we needed them. And I said, okay, and people started bringing it, but that was somebody knew somebody that knew somebody that knew somebody at St. Vincent de Paul. And then St. Vincent de Paul called me, and that was she calls me every week. So I'm happy. But Lisa has really, she struggled. She works on a budget and a shoestring, but she tries her best to make everybody happy. And she has provided for our people. It's just, otherwise they might not have anything. So I really appreciate her, what she does.
Thank you, Gail. Donna?
Lisa, thank you for sharing this story, your personal story as well as your professional one, because I'm very, very moved. But touch on, if you would, your March Padness program, because I'm going to include your flyer in the email that goes out.
Yeah, we've got a couple of things coming up, but right now, I call this March Padness because we decided to do it in the month of March, and I just thought, it's March Madness, we're going to call this March Padness. So every March, and this is our 3rd year, we do a product drive. And I think I have that pulled up here as well. I'll pull it up here, share my screen. Right now, there are several places that you can donate. So during March, we do a product drive where we collect these items, and we have several collection sites, and there are a lot of them right downtown Xenia. So whether you shop the Flower Box Gift Shop or 51 East Salon, where Billy just opened up, Billy Carico, Mel Thomas's office or business, Gypsy Alley Boutique. Shout out to Mel, she's on here. The Coffee Hub, Laniva's Pure Styles just contacted me, and they have a collection box. There's Vintage Rescue out on Jasper Road. It's a really neat little shop. And we've got Quality Dry Cleaners in Bellbrook. But during the month of March, and you can even bring your donations here to the pantry. And we do this every March. And it's just a great way for us to get our inventory back up so that we can help more ladies. A couple other things that are going on in April. We have been asked by the Artisan and Crafts Expo to set up a table at their craft place, and they are at their craft show. It's at the Greene County Fairgrounds, April 10th and 11th. And they are going to charge admission, and part of the admissions will come to providing for women. So that's going to be a big help. So if you are into arts and crafts, and maybe you could stop out there and you'll be able to see us as well. In May, there's another fundraising event that we've been asked, that we've been chosen for, and it's the GDSA. They're the Greene County District Sales Association. They're a group of women who are direct sales ladies, whether that's Cincy or Mary and Martha, Pampered Chef, all of that. They have a Paddles Up auction. It's coming up on May the 13th. It's a Thursday evening. Doors open at 6:30. You purchase tickets. There will be baskets raffled off, and all the admission charge and the baskets being raffled and all that, we earn funds from that. We did this last year with them, and in 1 hour we made $1,400. So it's a big deal. So I will have all this information on our Facebook page, so please like and follow us there. The next big thing we would have coming up is this will be our 3rd year to hold a Shop for Dignity craft show, and that's going to be at the Greene County Fairgrounds, August 21st and 22nd. We charge the vendors a setup fee to have the booths, and so part of that helps is funds for us, raised for us, as well as the admission. So every dollar that is paid in admission comes to us to help us buy product. And we started the Shop for Dignity craft show to help us raise money to buy products to put in the schools. Now we do Xenia and Fairborn, but our goal is to be able to help all the schools in Greene County. So whether that's Jamestown, Yellow Springs, Beaver Creek, Bellbrook, Cedarville, we would love to be able to reach out to them and help them if they have a need. Any other questions? Gail?
Just one comment. Tell them about Amazon if anybody wants
yeah.
to help you.
Yeah, we have an Amazon wish list, and you can also find about that on our website or our Providing for Women page. So you can shop from the comfort of your home and the items are shipped directly to us. We also are part of Kroger Community Rewards. So if you want to choose our nonprofit to sponsor for a while, you can. You can donate through our website or our Facebook page as well. Thanks, Gail, for the reminder. Elaine, I have put my name in the bucket for 100 women, so I'm hoping to be chosen to speak there soon, but thank you.
Okay, our next meeting is in April, and I just sent you that chat that said I'll talk to the coordinator because we're doing things so different now. 100
Yeah, I
women
sent
used to
her,
meet
yeah, I did.
quarterly and see each other, and now we don't, and we submit everything that we want online, and then we just do it a little differently. But
Right.
hopefully
Yeah,
that-
I did submit my name, so I'm hoping that I did submit our organization, so I'm hoping that we are
Okay.
chosen to speak. Tamara?
Can I get your email information?
Sure, it's providing and the number 4 women@gmail.com.
Okay. I don't know if you're aware, but CareSource has foundation grants that they provide to other 401cs. Gail's giving the thumbs up, but I know this year their focus, they have areas of focus obviously for 2021, but one of those is improving maternal, infant, and child health. And I don't know about you, but every time I've had a child, I have needed lots of pads and lots of things.
Yeah.
So I think it would be a great opportunity. You know, obviously there's no guarantees, but you don't know unless you try. So I think it'd be great for you to apply for that grant. Feel free to connect with me afterwards to provide you some more information on that as well too, if you'd like. But I think definitely should look into that for sure.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I will definitely do that. And just to talk about women and babies, Miami Valley Hospital, the Berry Women's Center right now is involved in our March Madness product drive, and they have they have tubs all over the area there, and the nurses and staff are involved in collecting product. And I even mentioned to the nurse that was orchestrating this that I'd love to talk to them to see if when we are able, maybe we could come up with some sort of kit that we could send home with those mothers that they know are in need, just to help them get through. And I say that because I had a mom reach out to me through Facebook who was postpartum and was running out of things that she needed and did not have the funds to buy them. So we were able to help her.
Yeah, we're connected with Barry's Women's as well to do great things. So yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you.
And also amazing story. I don't know how any of us kept our eyes dry at all during that, but what a powerful testimony of just being able to endure and keep focusing. And God definitely is utilizing you as a result of just trudging through. So thank you for sharing. It was amazing.
Thank you. I just want to say that one of my daughters is online, Brittany Shoemaker, and I'm glad that she was able to tune in today. She's a bookkeeper at Xenia City Schools. And my other 2 girls, Michaela, who's 24, and Layla, who's 14, they are like my biggest volunteers. My 14-year-old especially, and Gail can attest to that. Layla's with me all the time, helping collect product, put it on the shelves, count it, distribute it. She actually she drew the flower that is our logo, and I just could not do this without my girls, so I appreciate them very much.
Anyone else have any questions for Miss Jordan?
I
Thank
don't have a question for
Sharing about the
Lisa.
foundation. I was about to put you on the spot, but I'm glad Because I connected Gail to you and I saw that you were able to donate some money to the Xenia Fish Pantry. So I love that. Miss Elaine, what were you about to say? I'm sorry.
Yes, we haven't usually had the time that we go around and everybody gets to say something, but I wanted to say how glad I am to see Melanie today. She and I have talked about this group a lot, and COVID has really been devastating for our small businesses in town. And Melanie has a delightful shop, and I will spend something every time I go in there. I try not to go in a lot because of that, but I'd like for Melanie to tell you a little bit. She has been working so hard during COVID in her shop to make it more appealing, and so that people will try to shop downtown and shop the small businesses. So Melanie, I'm going to put you on the spot if you want to tell them something.
Actually,
about-
Miss Elaine, we're getting close to our time to end.
I know.
You could share information with Donna and then we can share it out to
Okay.
the entire email list and not just the 15 people here. Then we can get
Okay.
advertised to, goodness, aren't we over 100, 200? I forget how many people you even have on that list. So I think it'd even benefit her more.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It was
That's
just,
okay,
just
but
in the efforts
welcome,
of time,
Melanie.
we
I'm
try to
glad
be, not that I don't want to hear what Miss Melanie has. It's just in the efforts of everyone's time. We only do an hour. But I want to thank Miss Lisa for joining us today and sharing her journey. It has truly was a roller coaster ride of what you've had, but we appreciate you sharing some very personal details that can encourage all those listening that it doesn't really matter what your past is. You can accomplish anything if you put your mind to it. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it was truly great to see everyone as we stayed physically distant but socially close. And thank you again for joining us today. Please be on the lookout for your upcoming eWeekly emails, as well as the summary that Ms. Donna will share with us. And we'll provide more information on next month's meeting. It'll be coming to you live on the third Thursday of April on the 15th. In other news, Women in Business will be celebrating 10 years of networking beginning in May 2021. So we would like to hear from you on what you, who you would like to hear speak this milestone year, what kind of topics you'd like to learn, any referrals on any professional development opportunities, as well as any other ideas. So because we really want to make this 10th anniversary one to remember. In closing, even though International Women's Day was already celebrated on March the 8th, I wanted to share with you this year's theme. Quote, a challenged world is an alert world, and from challenge comes change. So let's all choose to challenge. So now I ask you all, how will you help forge a gender equal world? I also want to encourage you to celebrate women's achievement. So raise awareness against bias and take action for equality. And as Ms. Lisa said, help end period poverty. So thank you everyone for joining us. Appreciate your time today. Have a good one.